Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Asad Yaqub and I welcome you all from my Ielts class once again. You can see my Ielts class. It's actually beautiful because of these flowers, and they are artificial flowers, but still they are giving the beauty. And anyways, you guys are appreciating me for my videos and all that stuff, so that's why I'm trying to make new videos. And in every video I try to share something new, something different. I don't share what I shared before. Right now I am in front of my students, and we are having this class, and I thought I should record the very first class because this is the reading module, and reading module is quite challenging for the students, and I'm receiving a lot of feedback about reading module. So we'll be discussing reading module, but before we start I will give you some tips. I'll give you some guidelines how to improve your reading. What is it that is important to improve your reading skill, because you know IELTS reading will never improve unless you improve your reading, so you need to focus on that. Now first we will discuss question type, and I'll give you some tips. Basically, you know what happens, usually students ask me a question that in IELTS reading, do we need to read the question first or the passage first? When they ask this question, so what do you think, question first or the passage first? It depends. It depends on the type of question. It depends on the nature of question, and then you decide whether you're going to read question first or you're going to read passage first. So by question type, now I'm going to tell you whether you're going to read question first or you're going to read passage first, one thing. Second, there is another thing. In some type of questions, the answers are in passage order. Passage order means as the order of questions, there is the order of answers. For example, you'll find the answer of question number 1 in one paragraph, then you read ahead, you'll find the answer of question number 2, you read ahead, they are in the same order. But in some type of questions, the answers are not in passage order. So that's what I'm going to tell you today, where answers are in passage order, where they are not in passage order, where you need to read the question first, where you need to read the passage first. Because it's very, very important. Let me tell you, I would call it action plan. For IELTS reading, you should have a good action plan. A good action plan means if there is a type of questions, like for example sentence completion. Now you should know what should be my plan for sentence completion. Next type of questions is actually going to be diagram completion. So you should know what's my action plan. Action plan means, do I need to read the questions first, or do I need to go through the passage first, and all that stuff, right? So that's what we are going to discuss. Are you all ready? Fine? Good. The first type of question is sentence completion. Whenever there is a question type sentence completion, you need to complete the gaps in the sentences using words from the passage. Remember one thing, sentence completion is like fill in the blanks, right? They call it sentence completion. If you remember when you were small, in school, college, university, school only, not college. That time you had grown up actually. So in school there was a question, fill in the blanks, and you had to fill the blanks, right? So for fill in the blanks, you got to complete the gaps, and most of the time you got to take the words from the passage. When you got to take the words from the passage, you got to write as they are written in the passage without any modification of even spelling. A small example I gave that before. If in the passage TV is written, you will write TV. If in the passage television is written, you will write television. If they've written TV in the passage and you write television, they will cross your answer. They're very, very sensitive about that, okay? This is a very strange thing, but actually we are doing. So for sentence completion, answers are in passage order. Now another thing, this is the basic information you should have in mind, where answers are in passage order, where answers are not in passage order, right? For example, now sentence completion, answers are in passage order. Passage order means you only need to find the answer of one question, first question, and then read ahead, you will find the next answer. But in some cases answers are not in passage order, so then you got to scan. Answer of question number 1 you will find in the last paragraph, answer of question number 13 you will find in the first paragraph, and they are all scattered. So you should know, I mean, before you start your run, before you start running towards the passage and you're going here and there on the passage, you should know here the answers are in the passage order. Then you will go to the first paragraph of the passage, because you know it's going to go ahead gradually. And when you know the answers are not in passage order, then your eyes will move across the text and you will scan the specific word. Once you scan one question, you'll find the answer, then again you need to scan another one. So there a lot of scanning will be used. But if the answers are in passage order, then only once you got to scan, then read ahead, you'll find the next answer, you read ahead and you'll find the next answer. So far so good? You are understanding what I'm saying? Okay, that's good. So answer in passage order and write up to 3 words for an answer, check spelling, check grammar, and don't include any unnecessary word. Got it? Now the next type of question, that is notes, table, flow chart completion. They can be the notes, they can be a table. Table is having some information. Notes, table, and flow chart. Flow chart gives you the information in a flow. Usually it's about the process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, then first this happens, next this happens. That is what we call flow chart. So in flow chart completion, you got to complete the gaps. So answers may not be in passage order. When there is a flow chart, may not means they can be in passage order as well, because when there is a flow chart, it's about a process. So they will tell you about the process. The first step is this, then the next step is this, then the next step is this. So usually it is going to be in passage order. And when there are the flow charts, within the flow charts you need to find, there is one thing which is called clue word. You need to keep clue word in mind, or you can call it the word that is going to take you to the part of the passage. Have you ever gone shopping? Grocery shopping? Yes. Not the other one, grocery shopping. What's the most important thing you do before going for grocery shopping?
Take the list.
Make the list before you go, because for grocery shopping there are 30 plus items. You need to buy this, and all that stuff, right? So whenever you go for grocery shopping, you got the list. And then what do? Now imagine that list is like the questions in Ielts. And you have a list of 13 things. You got to buy 13 things. You got a list, grocery list of 13 items. In Ielts also in one section there are 13 questions. So you got to see what's the first thing on the list, and then you will scan that grocery store, and then you'll find that thing and you'll put it in your trolley. Then you see what is next. Sometimes you are searching for biscuits. In your grocery list there is the item biscuits, and you know you have to buy cooking oil as well. You know you have to buy milk as well. So you are searching for biscuits, but milk comes in the way, you will grab it, right? So actually what I'm trying to say, if you keep in mind 2 to 3 questions as you are going through the passage, if you do the passage one by one question you are searching the answer, second question you are searching the answer. But if in the beginning you go through all the questions, you go through them underlining the clue words. Clue words mean the words that give you the idea about the question, right? So if you underline the clue words, now for example you're looking for milk and you find sugar on the way, you'll say, oh, there is a question about that, and that will click you. And one thing more, when you read the questions, please read the questions with clear visualization. Visualization means, okay, I need to find this thing for this answer, I need to find this thing for this answer. And if you cannot do all 13 questions, at least one set of questions. Set of questions mean like true, false, not given, 4 or 5 questions. List of headings, 4 or 5. So at least one set of questions, read it all. Keep the clue words in mind, and as you're going through the passage, if anything clicks. Now for example, you are looking for the answer of question number 1 and question number 7. The information related to question number 7 comes on your way. Will you find it or will you leave it there? And you got to find it, right? Don't worry about question number 1. If you find information on question number 7, start reading it, start finding it, and then you can go ahead. This will save your time, and this will actually make you wise and smart. So you got to be smart when you are doing Ielts reading, because Ielts reading is tricky. When something is tricky and you are smart, you can do it. When something is tricky and you are innocent, you don't know what is going to happen with you, right? I mean, for example, you and I, right? You are the candidates and I am Ielts, right? You are candidates, you are innocent, I am Ielts, I'm very, very smart, I'm very, very clever. What will happen? I will cheat you. So in Ielts reading and listening, it's all about cheating. Cheating means passage is very, very clear. If you read only the passage, there is no confusion. Believe me, you will read, and somehow up to 70%, a normal person who's got normal understanding of English, you read the passage and you will understand up to 70%. But when you go to the questions twist your mind. You see, sometimes some examiners, when you were at school, college, university, some examiners, they made paper in such a twisty way that even what you knew, you forgot about that. Right? At the end you said, oh, I knew all the chapters, all the lessons, but the teacher, like that you say something in your heart, the teacher made the paper in such a way that I missed this question, and then later on you realize, oh, I know this and all that. So questions are tricky. Passage is okay. Now the real thing is you need to understand the questions, and then from the same passage you'll be finding the answers. So this is notes, table, flowchart completion, and answers may not be in passage order. Write up to 3 words, check spelling, and don't include any unnecessary words. Next type of questions is short answer questions. Now short answer questions are questions with WH questions, like what, why, when, where, how, and all that. Right? So you need to see what category is going to answer this question. If the question is with what, it's going to be a thing. If the question is with where, it's place. If it is with who, it's person. Right? If it is with why, then it's reason. If it is with how much, it's the amount. It can be percentage, right? So when you read the question, you got to be clear that this question and the answer, this is the answer what I need. So in short answer questions, you got to answer the questions using words from the passage. Answers are in passage order, right? Usually in section 1, the answers are in passage order. Section 1. Why? Because section 1 is for the beginners, to test your bench score 1, 2, 3, that level. So there usually the questions and the answers, they are in passage order. So in short answer questions, the answers are in passage order. Write up to 3 words, check spelling, and don't include any unnecessary word. Right? Now, for example, there is a question type short answer questions. You know the answers are in passage order. Means if I find the answer of one question, I will read ahead, I will find the next answer. I will read ahead, I'll find the next answer. So you should have very clear understanding. Remember one thing, when you're doing IELTS reading, don't immediately jump to that. You need to cram these things. The things I'm telling you, you need to cram. Cram means to get it by heart, or sort of ratta lagana. Things like that. Yeah, those who understand Punjabi, yeah, you can understand me, especially the Sikh people from India, they can understand. Even Indians can understand what is that ratta lagana, because there are many good rattus around as well. So did you ever do that, ratta lagaya? Yeah, did you? Park studies mostly. Yeah, sometimes it was important to do that. You didn't do that?
That's why I'm engineering.
Okay, okay, that's good. So you need to do that. I mean, before you start any question, you know to tell yourself, first identify the type of question. You read the question, you need to identify which type of question. Now this is the category. I mean, what I'm telling you right now, this is the category. Nothing is out of this category. There isn't any other type. These are the actual types, and there isn't anything beyond that, right? So once you understand this category, first identify the type of questions. That okay, this is the type of question I've understood. Then immediately when you identify that, now for example, you identify the type of question, short answer questions. And if you've crammed all the information about short answer questions, immediately the idea will come, the answers are in passage order. The answers are in passage order, and you go and find the answer of one question, and then you can go ahead.
100%.
It is, yes. I mean, this is, oh come on, I'm telling you this, right? No, don't be confused about that, right? So identify the type of question, then you should know answers are in passage order or not, and then you should immediately know whether I'm going to read the questions first or the passage first. So once you know, you've got clear directions, and then you can start after giving yourself instructions and the clear directions, and you'll find it. Okay, let's go ahead. Labeling a diagram. Now they might give you a diagram and you got to label. Some parts will be labeled and some parts will be missing. So with the help of labeled parts, what you need to do, you need to go to the portion of the passage where that information is. It's called scanning. Now for example, if there is a passage of 900 words, and I say on this passage you have to find the word drama, right? Now for example, there is a passage of 900 words, right? There are 2 pages, both pages have got that passage, and I say you got to find the word drama. Now how will you scan?
Put that on word
No, sir.
You're doing it in Ielts, okay? You're not doing it on computer, okay? I will type Control F and then I will write drum. Come on, you can't do that. Yes. What will you do?
We'll have to scan all.
How will you scan? That's my question. How will you scan?
Sir, we'll just see that.
Yes. Okay, listen. When you're scanning, your eyes should move around. Right on the text, your eyes should move like, okay, I'm looking for the word drama. And don't scan line by line. Right? If you scan line by line, it will take more time. For example, if there are 50 lines, so 50 times you will do that. Right? And in reading, let me tell you one thing. You've got the magic finger. In IELTS reading, this magic finger, or if there is a pencil, can I use the pencil, please? Thank you. If you've got a pencil, that's going to play magic with you. Why? Do it now. If you don't believe me, if you don't trust me, do it now. The first thing is you read something like this. Read something like this and then check your speed. And the second thing is read something like this. You can move the pen on the words, pencil on the words. Don't write anything. Just move the pencil on the words and then check your speed. It's going to be faster. I read a book. It's a 400 pages book, and the title of the book is How to Read a Book. See that? I mean, a full book, a very thick book. It was written back in 1920s or 30s, and the title of the book is How to Read a Book.
So after that, IELTS reading will be fine.
Yeah, maybe. If you read that book, How to Read a Book, so IELTS reading can be fine. So there I got this technique, and he said when you are reading a line, start from the second word. The first word automatically you will read. Don't pay attention to the first word. Start from the second word and miss the last. When you're reaching the last word, when you're on the second last word, move your eyes on the next line. Automatically you will complete it, and that will give you some speed. Now for example, if I'm reading, I will start from the second word. First word automatically my brain will read. First word, you can check that. And secondly, the last word, leave that. When you're on the second last word, move your eyes on the next line, and automatically you'll read that and come. That will increase your speed. And as you are reading, if you're moving the pencil or the finger, you will see your reading speed is double. Why? You know why? Because your eyes are following this thing, the movement of the pen, the movement of the pencil. Your eyes will be following the movement of the pencil, and because of this movement, your reading speed is going to be doubled. So when you are scanning, don't scan like this. I'm scanning.
Yes.
Yeah, don't scan like this. When you're scanning, you can do the zigzag stuff. Especially when you're scanning for a word. When you're scanning for a word, even they don't make any. In section 1 usually this happens, that you're scanning for a word. So when you're scanning for a word, if there is a paragraph, do the zigzag on the paragraph. Right? And you'll find the word. Then otherwise do the next paragraph. And when you zigzag, when for example you're going like this, read the words which are here also. When you're going like this, read the words which are here. And your eyes are looking for the specific word. For example, if there's a question about zebra, and your eyes are moving around, I need to find the word zebra. And you got to say it in your mind, zebra, all that, okay? And when you find the word zebra, you got to stop there and then read about zebra and all that stuff. So scanning, this pencil can help you, right? I'm telling you, this pencil can help you. For IELTS reading, you must hold a pencil like this when you are underlining, and like this when you are only going through that very information. Thank you very much. Okay. So we were talking about labeling a diagram. In labeling a diagram, some parts will be labeled, 1 or 2. You need to scan that very part. You name parts of a diagram using words from the passage. Answers may not be in passage order, but I have noticed usually in diagram the answers are in passage order. Because diagram, when they explain, it's got certain parts. Usually, even if they are not in passage order, second tip is this for diagram. Even if the answers are not in passage order, they are grouped together. Grouped together means in 1 or 2 paragraphs, you will find all the answers. Understand? Now you need to keep this thing in mind that whenever there is a diagram, the answers, if they are not in order, they are grouped together. So once you find the answer of one question, read around. It's not that you found one answer in first paragraph and then you jump to 4th paragraph, 5th paragraph. Read around that very thing and you will find all the answers. Okay. Write up to 3 words and check spelling. Don't include unnecessary words and mark relevant parts of passage while reading. Next is true, false, not given. The next type. It is most confusing, no doubt. True, false, not given, and yes, no, not given. These two question types are very confusing. You got to decide whether the statements agree with or contradicts the passage, or whether there is no information. Agree, contradicts, and no information. Now for true, false, not given, you got to keep this thing in mind. There are 3 points. Agree, if the statement and the passage they agree, it's true. If the statement and the passage they disagree, then it is false. And if there is no information about that very thing, then you're going to write not given. But sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time it's very difficult to decide between false and not given. You think it's false, but actually it's not given, and you think it's not given and actually it's false. So you got to be very, very careful. There they play with the language, right? They play with the language, like sometimes in the statement active voice, and there they use the passive voice. And sometimes they change it slightly, they change it, and then from false it becomes not given, right? So in true, false, not given, they're going to see your ability, whether you understand factual information. Then we have global multiple choice. We call it global. It's not because it is international. Global multiple choice is basically a multiple choice question which is based on all the passage. Now you will not find the answer. You don't need to scan. You don't need to read the whole passage. Usually this question comes at the end of the passage. Now for example, it's a last question. If you're doing in section 1, how many questions are there in section 1? 13. Section 2, 13. Section 3, 14. So there are total 40 questions, right? So if there is global multiple choice in section 1, it will be question number 13. If it is in section 2, that is question number 26. Right? Because global multiple choice means it covers all the passage. After doing all other questions, when you come to this global multiple choice and there is only one question, global multiple choice, there is only one question, automatically when you read the question and when you read the statements carefully, it will click you that I read this passage. So global multiple choice tests your ability to understand the theme of the passage, to understand the the bottom of the passage, or the summary of the passage, right, or the crux of the passage, right? So that's how it's going to be. Global multiple choice question covers whole passage, so you cannot scan it, you cannot even read about it. I mean, if you say, okay, I will read all the passage again for one question only, for God's sake, you can, the points you underlined, you can read those points, and then it is going to help you. The next one is matching. In matching, you have to match the statements to items in a box. Now there are statements and there are items in the box, sentences like half sentence here and half sentence there, and you got to match. So sometimes they can be sentences, sometimes they can be the names of scientists, names of experts, and then the statements. You got to match who said. For example, it can be like Asad, it can be John, it can be Alina, it can be Nazia, and then there are the statements, and you got to see this statement was in the passage said by Asad, this was said by Alina, this was said by Nadia, and all that stuff, right? So there you got to see. This is called matching. And for matching, remember, passage is not in question orders. The passage will not be in question order, but the passage is in option order. For example, options are given A, B, C, D. Right? So the passage is going to be in option order, not in question order, right? Okay, statements are not in passage order, yes, but statements, but the options means A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4. The options which are given, the passage is in that order. I'll explain that to you, don't worry. Boxed items are usually in passage order. Yes, that's right, boxed items. They're using the same word. And write A, B, C. Some letters may be used more than once, and some letters may not be used. Some letters are extra, they may not be used. Finding information in paragraphs. Now this is again another important type of questions. You got to find some information in the paragraph. Now these paragraphs, now what happens? They will give you some specific information, and then the question is which paragraph contains this information. This is purely done on the basis of scanning and then reading. Right? First you read the question, and from the question you need to understand what is the topic or what is the information which I need to find. Right? It can be sometimes, you know what will happen in the whole paragraph, there will be a small sentence containing that information, and that paragraph is going to be appropriate for that very statement or that very question. So here you will use your scanning technique. Read the question. After reading the question, you got to keep in mind what you are looking for, and then scan the passage. They can be the words you can keep in mind, right? And then scan the passage wherever you find that information, and do one thing. Don't do it question by question. Finding information in the paragraph, don't do it question by question, because if you do it question by question means, for example, if there is a bucket over there and that bucket has 13 balls, right? And I tell you that you got to go there, and all the balls are colorful. There are 13 different colors. All the balls are colorful, and you got to go and get a ball which I tell you. Now first you go and you read the question. It says go get the red ball. You haven't read second question. You will go and get the red ball. Then you come back and then you read the question, go get the blue ball. Now again you go there and you'll find the blue ball and come back. Then go get the green ball. Right? So many times you will go, and if you read all the questions, then at least your time will be saved. This is what we call smart work in Ielts. So don't do it keeping in view one question. We call it retention. Retain 3 to 4 questions. From tomorrow you need to work on this skill, retention skill. What is retention skill? I'll read 3 questions or I'll read 5 questions, and then let's see how many questions can I retain in my mind. 1 question or 2 questions, and more questions you retain. Now for example, you're searching the answer of question number 3, answer of question number 2 comes, or question number 4 comes, you will immediately find it and write it. So remember that example of bucket and the balls. If you have all the questions or 3 or 4 questions in mind, you will go at one time and then you will come back with 3-4 answers, right? Try to interact with the passage, but when you go, for example, passage and 13 questions, if you have to go to the passage 13 times to concert 13 questions, there it will take more time.
Yes.
Right? Now for example, you keep in mind 3 questions. Now you are going for hunting for 3 ducks. Right? So if you go for hunting for 1 duck, then 2nd duck, then 3rd duck, then 4th duck, it will take more time and more shots. So with 1 shot, try to kill minimum 3 ducks and minimum 2 ducks and all that. But I would advise you all, read one type of questions all. Don't read one question, then passage, one question, then passage. Read one type, and then if anything hits you, anything clicks you, and take a quick look at all the questions. If you're doing section 1, take a quick look, questions 1 to 13, because you got to read them as well. Then do section 2, take a quick look. Don't read, just take a quick look, underlining important things, and if anything comes related to that, then you can just underline. For example, you read one paragraph and something clicked that there are the answers of second portion. So you can just encircle all the paragraph. Don't worry, examiner will not say anything. Or you can put a big bracket and then write the answers of question number 9 to 12 are here. Later on you can come back and you can read. So at least whatever you read, your reading should be purposeful. And there is the time when you get 9 bands in reading, when you get 8 bands. If you do it one by one, and let me tell you, even if your English is 100%, your understanding is 100%, you understand the questions and all that, still you cannot get a good band because you don't manage your time. Time management is very, very important thing, and how to manage the time means how you take reading test. How you take reading test, if you take it one by one, like in a leisurely manner, one item at one time, like I gave you the example of that balls and the example of grocery shopping and all that, then it will take more time. Then what will happen? You will spend all 1 hour in first 2 sections and you will have no time for section 3. So you need to work very, very smart and actively. Okay, next is, let's go ahead. The next one is sentence completion with a box. Now in this type of question, what happens? They will give you incomplete sentence, like fill in the blank, and then they will give you a list of words. So it's double trouble actually. What double trouble? First you need to read the question, find the relevant information there, and then after reading the relevant information, you need to find the synonym of that very thing in the box. Right? So this is another type of question. Answers are in passage order. Sentence completion without a box or sentence completion with a box, answers are in passage order, so you don't need to worry about that. Once you find one answer, you'll find the other ones as well. Here you should have good understanding of synonyms. Synonyms are the words that are having the same meaning, right? Now, for example, You read the question. After reading the question, you go to the part of the passage and you need to underline clearly that if there is no box, this can be the answer. Then for that very word, you have to find a similar word. Do you understand? I repeat. You read the question and then you know this thing is missing. Now you go to the passage and you find that missing thing, but you will not write it. You need to find a similar word of that. So if you find exact word from the passage, then you will be able to find the similar word of that in the box. If you don't find the word in the passage, then you're looking for the words, and every word will look appropriate. And one more thing, if there are 4 blanks, they will give you 8 words or 10 words. The other words are the trap. In Ielts, there are so many traps. I mean, what a pity that they are testing your language ability and they are putting so many traps there just to confuse you and all that stuff. But you guys are, you guys cannot do anything about that. You are helpless. Here they have made this test, they have made a tricky test and you got to do it, right? Okay, so that's sentence completion with a box. Answers are in passage order and you got to write A, B, C. Next is yes, no, not given. It is similar to true, false, not given. Yes, no, not given and true, false, not given, they are similar. You got to decide whether the statement agrees or contradicts the writer's views or claims. Now in true, false, not given, you got to check factual information. But in yes, no, not given, you got to see writer's opinion. So when you are doing the question type yes, no, not given, try to go to the parts where writer's opinion is mentioned, like according to the writer, right? And if the writer says I believe, I think, in my opinion, something like that. So you got to see what is the writer's view about that very thing, because yes, no, not given is about writer's view and true, false, not given is about factual information, about facts. So that's the difference between the two. Answers are in passage order. Good news. For yes, no, not given, answers are in passage order. So find one answer, read ahead, you will find next answer, read ahead, you will find one next answer. Again, don't forget, I've just told you your action plan should be read the question and then decide immediately what is the type of question. After that, you got to decide immediately answers are in passage order or not, right? And then you can go ahead and you can find the answers. Next one is multiple choice. In multiple choice, you choose the correct letter A, B, C or D, and in multiple choice, answers are in passage order. So you'll find one question, then read ahead, all that. Now listen, when you're doing multiple choice in reading, we have multiple choice in listening as well, but when you're doing multiple choice in reading, all you need to do, first you need to read the statement. And then you got to see, I mean, there are 3 options. Don't read the options. It's a waste of time. When you're reading the options first with the question, it's a waste of time. Just read the statement, the main question. After reading the main question, find relevant information and try to find the answer of that question without reading the statements or before reading the statement. Now, for example, if the question is the total amount spent on this project was, there are 3 options, A 10 million, B 20 million, C 50 million. Now before you go through these options, you got to actually see how much money was spent on this project. From the passage, find the answer. After finding the answer, now see whether that answer is given in A, B or C. What we do, we read the statement, we read the options, then we go to the passage, and again, you know what happens when you go to the passage with 3 options. And by the way, they mention 3 options. They'll say initially they thought this project will cost 10 million, but when the work started, they needed more money, so they added 10 million more. By the end, they needed 30 million to finish the project. So that is going to be 50 million actually. So there are again traps, and you got to see where there is the trap or where there is the real answer. So multiple choice, don't read the options, just read the question and then you can go ahead. After that, we've got paragraph headings. Now in paragraph headings, that's another difficult type of questions for the students. You got to choose the correct heading for each paragraph from a list of headings. Now when you're doing the paragraph headings, don't read the headings first, right? Sometimes you read the headings, so sometimes headings are questions, sometimes even headings are in options, and if there are 5 paragraphs, they will give you 8 headings. That means 3 headings are extra. They'll give you some extra headings. Again, extra headings are trap. Trap means that actually traps you. That's the wrong answer, right? Now, for list of headings, first what you need to do, read the paragraph. Now, if the paragraph is short, you can read all of it. Sometimes what happens, in the whole passage, there are 9 paragraphs. Out of 9 paragraphs, they will only label. Label means they will write A, B, C, D. They will label only 4 paragraphs. So if 4 paragraphs are labeled and these paragraphs are short, then read all of it. But quickly, very, very quickly, you are just going through it. And again, when you're reading it, there should be a pencil in your hand, and pencil should move and your eyes should follow the speed of the pencil, right? Or maybe you can use your finger. You can move your finger on the text and read it very quickly. If the paragraph is short, read it all. And as you are reading, give yourself message in your native language that what is this paragraph about. Don't just read. No. As you're reading one sentence, second sentence, third sentence, read and think. Read and think that what this paragraph is all about. Once and underline the clue words as well. If they mention something which you think is related to the topic, relevant to the topic, one word is being repeated many times, one idea is being repeated, or they are going to draw some conclusion. Usually the conclusion, there can be the heading about conclusion, there can be the heading about the title of the paragraph. So you cannot tell whether the answer you can find reading the first line. Sometimes you read the first line and you know which heading. Sometimes you read all the paragraph and the last line will give you the clue that this paragraph is about that. So you need to just see that, and after reading the paragraph, making up your mind, now you go down the list of headings. Heading number 1, your brain will give you the message because you stored that information of the paragraph, and now you read heading number 1, your brain will give you a message yes or no. You read the next heading, your brain will give you a message yes or no. You read third heading, your brain will give you a message perhaps yes. Wait, read the next heading, because you know the extra headings, extra 2-3 headings are like a trap. So then for example, now you think for this paragraph heading number 3 and heading number 5 both are correct. Then you got to read the paragraph again to decide whether heading number 3 is the most appropriate one or 5 is the most appropriate one. So once you do it, you'll just find that. Okay.
Master, heading will be according to passage order or
there is no trouble. Actually, the paragraphs are going to be labeled A, B, C, D. So headings are in random order. They are not in passage order. Next is summary completion. You complete the gaps in the summary using words from the passage. Now they will give you the summary. That summary can be the summary of 1 or 2 paragraphs of the passage, or that summary can be the summary of all the passage. So answers can be scattered here and there. Answers may not be in passage order, because in the summary, when they are going to summarize, they will take few things from the beginning of the passage, few things from the middle, few things from the end, or they can start from the end of the paragraph. So answers are not going to be. So here you got to use your scanning technique. When you read the summary, first you need to see what information is missing, and then with the help of given information you will decide what part of speech is there, and then convert the summary into a question. Now for example, if there is the summary, in China, dash people go to work early in the morning. In China, dash people go to work early in the morning. Now when you see in China dash people go to work, it means it's the type of people, right? In China, mostly dash are unemployed. Dash are unemployed means it's again the category of people, and are unemployed means it's going to be in plural. So you got to take help. First see what's the word which is missing, and try to convert summary completion into a question. Question means okay, how many people are unemployed, or you can just see the question is like what type of people are unemployed, right? As I said, that convert it into a question. Second, you got to see what is the answer, what's going to be the answer. Is it going to be a singular noun? Is it going to be a plural noun? And article will help you. Sometimes they've written an dash, a dash, some dash. Now a dash means the word will start with a non-vowel. An dash means the word will start with a vowel, right? And if they write some dash, means it's going to be plural. If it is written dash is, again singular, dash are means plural, dash has singular, dash have. So from the verb, from the given information, you got to understand what part of speech, and then very cleverly and cunningly you got to see, okay, the answer is going to be adjective, the answer is going to be a noun, the answer is going to be a pronoun, the answer is going to be a noun which starts with a vowel. Like, you know, you play the games sometimes, the missing word, missing letter. There is a game, one word, 4 pictures, 1 word. Have you ever played that? 4 pictures, come on, you guys are boring if you've not played that game, huh? 4 pictures, 1 word. So they will give you 4 pictures and you got to see, and in the word 1 or 2 letters are given, and then you got to see what other letters can come, and pictures will give you a message about 1 word, right? You should play these type of puzzles for IELTS reading, okay? You need to use your intelligence. Next, after summary completion is classification. You decide which category some statement or features belong to. So they classify. And classification question can be answers are not in passage order. In classification, answers are not in passage order. In summary completion also, answers are not in passage order. So when there is classification, you know answers are not in passage order. In classification, what are they going to do? Okay, can you tell me any name of the tablet for headache? Disprin. Okay, and paracetamol, Panadol. All right, now we've got Disprin and Panadol. Right, so there's going to be, they will give you Disprin, Panadol, and in classification what happens? They will give you 4 statements or 5 statements. So now you got to see whether this statement is true for Disprin, or this statement is true for Panadol, right? Or this statement is true for both, or this statement is true for neither. There are 4 categories. When we talk about classification, there are 4 categories, and those categories are, it can be for one thing, like Panadol. This feature is true. There are features. You got to match the features actually. So this feature is true for Panadol, or this feature is true for Panadol and Disprin, or this feature is true for both or for neither. So A, it can be one thing, it can be the other thing, it can be both things, and it can be neither, right? There are 4 options in classification. So write A, B, C, and some letters may be used more than once and some letters may not be used. And the last one is pick from a list. In pick from a list, you got to pick the answer from a list. They will give you a list and you got to pick the thing from there. Answers may not be in passage order. So whenever there is pick from the list, they will give you a list and you got to select one answer from there. Now, pick from a list, what will happen? They will give you 4 options, A, B, C, D, or maybe 5 options. And usually whenever there is a question pick from the list, it's going to be like 2 questions or 3 questions. Now for example, if you are given 5 statements, A, B, C, D, E, and now they say according to the passage, which 2 statements are true? Which 2 statements? So 2 statements means 2 questions. Now you got to say, is it A, B, C, D, E? So you got to go through all the statements because you got to do it. And after that, this is a difficult type of questions because there are 5-6 statements and questions are only 2. You got to decide it's B or C, C or D, A or E, something like that. So take a quick look. Sometimes your sixth sense is going to help you in IELTS. As you're doing this type of question, there is one option and you think this option is stupid. I mean, you're reading 5-6 options, but you need that sixth sense. If that's the right answer and you say this is stupid, okay, that's the right answer and you cross that. No, you got to see something that seems irrelevant, that seems silly, that seems something which cannot be possible, so you don't consider that. If there are 6 options and you got to select 2 options, if you reduce the options, the chances for your success will be double. Now, if out of 6 you got to choose 1, right, the chances of success are 1 by 6. If out of 4 you got to choose 1, the chances for success are 1 by 4. And if from 3 you got to choose 1, chances of success 1 by 3. So there are more chances. Right? So that's how you need to do. I hope you would have understood the type of questions, and next time whenever you're going to do this, again I repeat what I actually said. The summary or the bottom line is that first when you read the question in IELTS reading, you need to give yourself a message that this is this type of question. Number one. Number two, if this is this type of question, now answers are in passage order or in random order. Number three, what should be my action plan to do this? So if you are going to do it like this, definitely you'll be able to get a good bench score. So I hope you would have enjoyed these tips, and this is all fresh. Yeah, it's new arrival. When you go for shopping, the new season starts, then they say it's the new arrival. So whatever I've shared with you, that's the new arrival. If you're going to follow all these tips and the question type which I told you, there is nothing more than that. I mean, these are all the types, and if you're going to do it, you'll be able to get a good bench score as well. I wish you a fantastic bench score. If you like this video, don't hesitate to click on the like button and give a comment as well. I would love to read your comment and I would reply as well. My WhatsApp number is given. If you want to contact me directly, if you want IELTS classes, online IELTS classes, or any coaching for IELTS, you can contact me for that, and I can provide you private tuition for IELTS as well. Reading is tough. Reading is challenging. You got to accept it as a challenge, and once you accept it as a challenge, means you are very well prepared for that. When you accept something as a challenge, if I say there is a journey and that journey is very difficult, then you're going to be well prepared for that journey. So the journey of IELTS reading is very difficult. Prepare yourself, or rather equip yourself very well when you start it, when you go on with it, so that you don't face any problems. And the equipment for the journey of IELTS reading is your good reading skill, is your good understanding, your ability to retain information, your ability to understand and process information. Once you've got all these equipments, these are what we call necessary equipments, you'll be able to get a good bench score. Asad Yaqub wishes you all the best and a very good bench score in IELTS. Take care. Allah Hafiz.